Gemini, the sign of the sharp mind, duality, and irresistible communication. Always remembered for humor, intelligence, and natural charm. But behind that brightness lies something few truly know. A hidden side, unpredictable, and dangerously fascinating. Despite the easy smile and quick speech, Gemini carries a mental force that can turn into a storm, an energy capable of enchanting or destroying. And this is where the real danger begins. They observe everything, analyze every detail, calculate every gesture. Nothing goes unnoticed. When someone crosses their boundaries, Gemini doesn't react with shouting or explosions. They shift. They transform. They disappear emotionally, change their strategy, and by the time you realize it, they're already 3 steps ahead. This is why people say Gemini is the most dangerous sign, not because of malice but because of a sharp, fast, and impossibly unpredictable mind. You've heard that some signs carry shadows few dare to reveal. But among them, one holds a silent reputation, a hidden danger so subtle that most people only notice when it's already too late. Why would Gemini be considered the most dangerous sign of the zodiac? This question frightens, intrigues, and awakens a curiosity that's impossible to ignore. After all, we're talking about a light, communicative, funny sign. But could there be a darker side behind that glow that few truly see? Today you will uncover 5 facts that make this sign a walking enigma, with a razor-sharp mind, an unsettling adaptability, and a duality capable of charming and destabilizing anyone. It's not about evil, but a rare ability to read people, predict behaviors, and switch direction without leaving a trace. Gemini observes, analyzes, seduces, vanishes, and reappears out of nowhere, leaving those around them in an emotional maze. Some say the true danger of Gemini isn't in what they show, but in what they hide. Their mind runs in double speed, their feelings shift like the wind, and their ability to reinvent themselves makes it nearly impossible for others to keep up. Intelligence? Plenty. Limits? Not always. And that's where the mystery lies. Do you truly know a Gemini, or only the version they allow you to see? Get ready. What you're about to hear may completely change the way you see this fascinating and unpredictable sign. Here are the 5 secrets that explain why Gemini can indeed be the most dangerous sign of the zodiac. Let's begin. Want to know why Gemini is considered the most dangerous sign in the zodiac? Here are the 5 facts that reveal this hidden side. And number 5 will surprise you. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Your energy keeps this space alive and strengthens our connection with the universe of the stars. The psychological power of the Gemini mind. Gemini isn't just fast, it's lightning. Their mind works like a constant radar, picking up every gesture, every micro-expression, every subtle shift in tone of voice. While most people process information in a linear way, the Gemini processes everything at once. Emotion, logic, memory, intuition, and environmental perception. That's why they may seem distracted in an ordinary conversation, when in reality they're observing everything with surgical precision. For Gemini, understanding people isn't an effort, it's an instinct. They read intentions before someone can even finish forming a thought. This ability makes them one of the most charismatic signs of the zodiac, but also one of the most dangerous for anyone who tries to manipulate them, lie to them, or hide something. Because Gemini doesn't confront directly. They dismantle the situation mentally, identify the weak point, and act with a silent strategy that surprises even those who thought they were in control. The psychological power of Gemini lies in how quickly they build scenarios. In seconds, they can visualize every possible outcome of a situation and choose the best path, whether emotional, social, or mental. This means they are never caught off guard. Nothing hits them without a prepared internal response. They are always 3 moves ahead, like a chess player who never reveals their next piece. Another important detail is that Gemini doesn't get lost in intense emotions like other signs. They feel deeply but process everything through reason. This makes them cold when needed, calculating when necessary, and surprisingly immune to emotional manipulation. Anyone who tries to pressure them, trap their mind, or limit their freedom quickly discovers that it's impossible. The Gemini sees patterns with unsettling ease, and once they understand the game, they win. Their greatest weapon is not their speech, although it is powerful. Their true strength is in their observing silence, in the mind that never stops, and in the ability to transform any information into strategy. Gemini doesn't destroy with violence, they destroy with clarity. They dismantle illusions, cut false ties, expose lies, and reorganize their life with a speed that leaves everyone else speechless. It's this sharp intelligence, this almost supernatural perception, and this ability to think in multiple dimensions at once that make Gemini one of the most dangerous signs of the zodiac. Not for the chaos they cause, but for the control they wield. And when they decide to use that powerful mind to protect themselves, no one can reach them. The ability to disappear emotionally. When Gemini feels hurt, restricted, or invaded, something very particular happens inside them. There is no explosion, no dramatic confrontation, no endless arguments. The process is silent, internal, and devastating, but only for those on the outside. Because for Gemini, disappearing emotionally is not running away, it's self-preservation. It's a sharp strategy that comes naturally from their mental nature. Gemini is an air sign, and air never attaches to anything. It moves, disperses, adapts. When a connection becomes toxic, confusing, or too heavy, their mind enters survival mode. Little by little, the Gemini begins to distance themselves, not physically but emotionally. They start observing more than participating. They respond less, feel less, give less. It's as if an invisible curtain falls between them and the world, and behind it, they reorganize their feelings with a coldness that surprises even those who thought they knew them well. This emotional detachment doesn't happen all at once. It builds through accumulated perceptions. Gemini notices inconsistencies, detects hidden intentions, sees shifts in behavior. And each small alert creates another step toward distancing. When they finally shut down, no one sees it coming. It's subtle, quick, and precise. Suddenly, the person full of energy, conversation, and vibrancy becomes neutral, quiet, unreachable. The most dangerous part of this process is that Gemini doesn't suffer the same way other signs do. They feel, of course, but they rationalize the emotion until it becomes manageable. Their mind turns pain into logic, and logic becomes complete detachment. That's why so many people say Gemini gets cold out of nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere, it's out of silence. Out of overanalysis. Out of perceiving that insisting would only bring more wounds. And the most surprising part, when Gemini disappears emotionally, they rarely return to who they were. Even if someone apologizes, even if the situation changes, even if everything seems resolved, their original version does not come back. The bond may be rebuilt, perhaps, but never with the same strength. Because when Gemini detaches, they don't erase feelings, they archive them. And what is archived stops influencing their decisions. This mechanism makes them strong, protected, and extremely independent, but also creates an invisible danger. Anyone who tries to control, trap, or manipulate Gemini learns the hard way. The more you pressure them, the faster they vanish. This emotional disappearance is the sign's most powerful defense. They cut ties with almost surgical precision and move forward without looking back. Not out of coldness, but out of clarity. And that is exactly what so many people consider dangerous about Gemini, their ability to walk away without breaking, without hesitating, and without regret. When they understand that something is over, it's over. Forever. The unpredictable duality. The duality of Gemini is one of the most fascinating and dangerous forces of the zodiac. While other signs function in a linear, predictable, emotionally stable way, Gemini is constant movement. They live between two internal frequencies, two operating modes, two versions of themselves. It's not falseness, it's not a mask, it's not superficial inconsistency. It's pure complexity. It's a mental universe that shifts according to what the situation demands. This duality shows up in ways so subtle that most people never notice. There is the light, communicative, curious, playful side. The Gemini who enchants, captivates, and brightens any environment. This is the social version, warm, open to dialogue. The Gemini who laughs loudly, makes instant connections, and transforms any simple conversation into a brilliant exchange. That's the side the world knows and loves. But there is another Gemini, deep, silent, distant, and extremely calculating. The version that doesn't speak, observes. That doesn't react, analyzes. That doesn't express, plans. This side appears whenever they sense danger, lies, manipulation, or heavy energy. It's activated as a defense mechanism, but it functions like a psychological weapon. Suddenly, the sweet and expansive person becomes introspective, cold, and almost indecipherable. And this is where the danger lies. No one ever knows which side will emerge in each situation. This unpredictability confuses, destabilizes, and often emotionally dismantles those who live with Gemini, because they switch mental frequencies with an unsettling naturalness. There is no warning, no transition. They simply change. The light side analyzes possibilities, the dark side executes decisions. The social side creates bonds, the deep side cuts them. The bright side embraces the world, the mental side isolates itself without remorse. And both coexist all the time. This duality allows Gemini to see nuances that most people overlook. They understand hidden motivations, notice shifts in energy, identify concealed intentions. And this constant perception fuels their ability to alternate between their two versions as the moment requires. When they need to charm, they charm. When they need to cut, they cut. When they need to protect themselves, they disappear. When they need to strike, they use the mind, never emotion. The reason is simple. Gemini does not allow themselves to be guided by a single impulse. They have access to two internal perspectives and use them as tools. It's as if they have an internal dialogue, assessing which version will be more efficient in that moment. This psychological flexibility is rare, powerful, and often misunderstood. That's why so many describe Geminis as two people in one. It's not an exaggeration. It's a profound truth. They are not unstable, they are multiple. They are not contradictory, they are adaptable. They are not complicated, they are complex. And it's exactly this complexity that makes them one of the most difficult signs to manipulate, predict, or control. Because just when you think you understand a Gemini, they show you the other one. And when you try to predict what they will do, they've already done it. The ability to manipulate energy and environment. Gemini's true power isn't only in what they say, but in what they perceive before anyone else. Their mind works like an emotional and social radar, picking up subtle vibrations that most people ignore. They notice micro-expressions, hesitations, disguised lies, implied intentions. And with this information, Gemini adjusts their own energy like someone changing the tone of a song. This ability allows them to step into any environment and, within minutes, transform it. That's why they always seem to fit everywhere. It doesn't matter the social circle, the emotional climate, or the type of person they're talking to. They adapt their words, humor, posture, and even their energetic frequency. This isn't falseness, it's pure emotional intelligence. Gemini shapes their energy to create connection, harmony, and flow. But this same ability, when used defensively, can be extremely dangerous for anyone trying to manipulate them. Because Gemini always notices first. They know when someone is trying to seduce them with questionable intentions. They sense when someone is emotionally pressuring them. They feel when the environment shifts from lightness to tension. And above all, they detect when someone is trying to use their own words against them. When that happens, Gemini shifts their energy like a master strategist. If the room is heavy, they become even lighter. If someone tries to control them, they become uncontrollable. If someone tries to intimidate them, they become cold, neutral, and impenetrable. Their ability to change the atmosphere around them is so natural that the other person doesn't even notice what happened. They just feel they've lost control. This ability to dominate the emotional climate without raising their voice is something few understand. Gemini creates a silent dynamic in the environment that makes people adapt to them, not the other way around. It's as if their energy were a magnet that reorganizes everything around them. And that is power. A soft, intelligent, psychological power, but absolutely real. And that is what makes them dangerous. Gemini influences without seeming to influence. They lead without seeming to lead. They convince without needing to impose. For those who try to manipulate, control, or suffocate Gemini, this ability is devastating. because they flip the game effortlessly, shifting the entire environment in their favor. In arguments, they change the emotional tone to disarm the other person. In conflicts, they use lightness to weaken the attack. In relationships, they adjust the energy until they understand whether the person deserves emotional investment or permanent silence. This energetic intelligence gives Gemini an invisible form of power. The power to influence the emotional flow of everything around them. The soft power. And precisely because of that, an extremely dangerous one. Detachment that arrives without warning. Among all the traits that make Gemini a dangerous sign, none is as unexpected and as final as their ability to detach suddenly. To those watching from the outside, it may look like coldness. To those who experience it, it feels like a surgical cut, silent and irreversible. But for Gemini, it is simply the logical conclusion of an emotional process that had already been happening internally for a long time. Despite their reputation for instability, a Gemini does not walk away without reason. They observe, analyze, recalculate, always. Every word spoken, every absence, every lack of reciprocity is stored in their mental archive. And when that archive reaches its limit, something inside them simply switches off. It's not anger. It's not resentment. It's clarity. The clarity that insisting would be a waste of energy, time, and freedom. This emotional shutdown happens so quickly that many believe Gemini leaves without feeling anything. But the truth is that they felt everything, they just felt it rationally. They analyzed the pain, understood the pattern, and concluded that staying would only cause deeper wounds. That's why when they leave completely. And it's exactly this ability to sever ties with the past without looking back that creates such a powerful impact. Gemini loves with mental intensity. They connect through conversation, exchange, and vibration. They build bonds through the mind, and for that very reason, when they lose interest or trust, the fall is abrupt. There is no middle ground. No endless attempts. No attachment to what no longer makes sense. Those who live with Gemini often don't notice the early signs of this gradual distancing. The silence where enthusiasm once existed, the short replies where endless conversations used to flow, the neutrality where there was once spark. And when someone tries to bring back their old version, they discover something painful. It doesn't return. Because for Gemini, anything that stops making sense stops existing emotionally. The most intriguing part is that Gemini feels no guilt for this. They truly believe that life is movement, evolution, change. And where there is no reciprocity, respect, or genuine energy, they will not stay. Their detachment is not coldness, it is self-preservation. It is emotional intelligence applied to survival. They do not fight where they are not seen. They do not insist where they are not valued. They do not beg for space where their essence is not welcomed. This power to abandon relationships, situations, and environments that hurt them, with speed, precision, and total clarity, is what many consider dangerous. Because while other signs hesitate, cry, resist, Gemini simply decides. And their decision is final. When Gemini closes a door, it is not a dramatic goodbye. It is a silent goodbye. Perfect, precise, immutable. And that is exactly why this is the most surprising and painful aspect of their personality. When Gemini chooses to move forward, no one can make them return. This is their true power. And the final reason why so many call them the most dangerous sign of the zodiac. Gemini is brilliance, intelligence, and movement. But they are also strategy, detachment, and a mental intensity that few can keep up with. Their danger is not in harming, but in the strength of their mind, the speed of their shifts, and the courage to move on when no one expects it. And you? Have you ever felt this hidden side of Gemini yourself? Have you lived something that confirms everything said here? If yes, do this. Write in the comments, "I confirm," and share the experience that opened your eyes. Your story may help someone who is going through the same thing right now. And before you leave, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this video with someone who needs to understand Gemini energy. Your participation strengthens this community and keeps this message alive.